I cannot believe that is what we've seen for the first half. I actually cannot believe it. That was the worst half of basketball I have ever seen in my life. It is the worst half of basketball I have ever seen in my life. I'm not joking. It is one of the worst coached halves of basketball I've ever seen in my life. This team is garbage. This team is absolutely garbage. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Genuinely, do they not call screens? Does this team not talk on defense? Caitlin Clark is either the single worst player I've seen in the history of basketball at getting around screens. She is either the single worst player I've ever seen at getting around screens, or no screens are being called. Ever. They literally spent the first quarter and a half not guarding DeWanna Bonner. DeWanna Bonner is 6 of 7 from the field. She is 6 of 7 from the field and 3 of 3 from 3. How many shots has she taken contested? 0, because they won't guard her. They're literally leaving her wide open. They are leaving her wide open. DeWanna Bonner had 8 points, and then I watch her come back on the floor, and suddenly she's wide open for a layup. They were playing a 2-3 zone. The Fever are playing a 2-3 zone, and Christy Sides has them playing a 2-3 zone like they are 10-year-olds. Our 2 guys are staying at the top, and our 3 players are going to stay in a line on the back on defense. No! If the ball's on one side of the floor and you're on the weak side of a 2-3 zone, you at least play up. So when the ball's skipped, the 2 players at the top don't have enough time to recover on the skip. You at least stay there on the shooter until the person pushes you down. But in reality, in professional basketball, if you are going to play a zone, you match up. You do not play a zone like you are 11 years old. But no, they played a 2-3 zone. It's like, oh, skip pass, wide open 3. Skip pass, wide open 3. Oh, you know what? We have DeWanna Bonner. We have a shooter. Let's skip pass, wide open 3 for a shooter. What are they doing? Caitlin Clark is awful, and I mean this. She is terrible at shooting going to her right. It's something she needs to work on. It's a weakness in her game. Why does she start every single play on the left side of the floor so she's coming off the pin down onto her right hand? Why? Why does she start every single play on the side of the floor that she can't score from? What happened to the plays that worked against the Sky? What happened to the plays that worked against the Storm? What happened to the plays that worked against the Mystics? Because you're running none of them. They're going back to high pick and roll with Caitlin Clark dribbling with her right hand into the blitz and the 4 other players standing around and watching. Why have they gone back to that? Why have they gone back to what was losing them games? Why are they moving away from the 2, 3, 4 pin downs, using the Caitlin Clark gravity to get other players open like happening against the Mystics, using the double pin down to allow Caitlin Clark to get easy assists from the gravity for other players? It is now back to when Caitlin Clark has the ball, giving it to Clark and standing and watching her. Or when Caitlin Clark doesn't have the ball, she may as well sit on the bench with the other 4 players. She may as well go into the crowd, because when she doesn't have the ball, it is now back to Erica Wheeler. Dribble. I'm going to dribble in, drive in, and miss. Kelsey Mitchell. Dribble. Miss. What is this? People are saying the monster's awake. There's nothing about... they just stand around and watch her. I've never seen anything. Caitlin Clark has shot the ball 5 times. She's got 10 points. She shot it 5 times. She's being left on an island with the player with the fastest hands in the league. She's being told to ISO with no space on Desjanae Carrington, who was the fastest hand in the league. What are they doing? Caitlin Clark has had one screen going to her left in the entire game. They've set one screen for her going left. One. And she shot a logo 3 and hit it. Aaliyah Boston is a very, very good passer from the post. She doesn't do anything else well. She doesn't defend. She fouled Desjanae Carrington on a running hook shot. She was shooting a running hook shot from almost from halfway between the basket and the free throw line, and she'd put up the hook shot. She was probably going to brick it off the board and out, and she fouled her. Kelsey Mitchell, I don't know what she does. She plays basketball like she's a my player. She literally gets the ball, and the first thing she thinks is, I'm going to dribble. How many times? How fast can I dribble? I'm going to make it look like I'm dribbling so fast. Let me cross over the ball 17 times in a row, and then let me burn somebody when I could have just burned them straight away and taken a layup. Let me burn someone now. I've taken so much time going dribble, that the help has come in, and now I'm going to miss the layup. Erica Wheeler, what are you on the floor for? What are you on the floor for? Genuinely, what are you on the floor for? You've got, in fairness, Christy Wallace, you're having a fine game. You don't really play much defense. You've never played defense this season. No one on your team plays defense. That's all fine. That's fine. You know what? Cool. You've been okay. Lexi Hull, you hit a shot. You hit a shot, you made a nice cut. And again, Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston is unbelievably good at hitting cutters. Don't shoot the ball in the post. When you have your back turned, you take 4 dribbles inside and you want to fake somebody up and brick the layup, don't shoot it. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing when it comes to you get the ball, looking back, hitting cutters, because the players, in fairness, they cut off you. When Aaliyah Boston touches the ball, the team cuts off her and she hits them. So that's one way they look good on offense. But when Caitlin Clark has the ball, they just stand there and watch. They stand there and watch. How many times a game does Caitlin Clark draw 3 players, kick it to a wide open shooter, and they hit the corner of the rim or hit the backboard? This is the worst basketball team I've ever seen. This is genuinely, I'm not joking, the worst basketball team I've ever seen. Christy Sides, is there some money laundering involved? Because this is the worst coaching I've ever seen. Why? You've got a player who excels going left. Why do you run every single play for her going right? Why? Why do you run every single play for your player that excels going left, going right? Why do you insist on putting Erica Wheeler on the floor? Why? Why do you play a 2-3 zone like this is high school? You couldn't even get away with that in high school. Right now, you couldn't even get away with this in high school. The Fever versus the Irish women's team. I'm not gonna lie. I think Claire Amelia could give this Fever team buckets right now. I think Dana Finn could give this Fever team buckets. I think Bridget Hurley could give this team buckets. Adele Thornton could definitely give this team buckets right now. This team's so bad. They're so bad. They literally play basketball like they are 14 years old. They play basketball with the tactics of a 14-year-old team. They have no identity. They play no defense. They don't talk on defense. They don't run any sort of motion offense. Their offense is, cool, we're going to set a pin down for Caitlin Clark. And if you're Erica Wheeler, I'm going to not look at Caitlin Clark and I'm going to give the ball to Kelsey Mitchell. Their offense is, one of Kelsey Mitchell or Erica Wheeler go ISO. Aaliyah Boston gets it in the post and either misses or hits a cutter. And then if Caitlin Clark has the ball, Caitlin Clark will at least give the ball to Alyssa Smith. Caitlin Clark will at least pass the ball to Alyssa Smith. They don't run an offense. They don't have any sort of set offense. Every single game, they run new sets every single game. And they stop going at what's working. Literally, they have certain sets that work. And every game, there are brand new sets. Like every second game, they will run a set. They will run a set where it's like, okay, cool. Christy Sides put something in practice. Okay, I like this set. And the next game, they don't run it. They run stuff against the They were running stuff against the Storm and the Sky. Then we just didn't see it against the Liberty. I genuinely thought that she was throwing the game against Liberty. Every time they play a good team, they stop running their sets. It's like they've conceded defeat. Because they ran some sets against the Mystics. They ran sets against the Sky. They ran sets against the Storm. They ran sets against the Sparks. So they very clearly have sets that they're running. But then when they're playing the best teams, they literally go back to, and this is whoever touches the ball, unless it's Aaliyah Boston, everybody just stands still. Everyone just stands still. It is awful. This is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. And I really want, if awful coaching could do a video on this would be crazy. Because they're just standing there watching, and none of them are, on the defensive end, none of them are good. They're all terrible defenders. And these are, they're either, every single one of this team is either the worst defender I've ever seen coming off screens, mostly amplified by Caitlin Clark because they want to make her work on defense and run her off everything. But I actually do not believe. I think this team, might be like just opposed to speaking. I think like it must be against their beliefs to talk on defense. It must be against their beliefs of basketball. Kelsey Mitchell is the freaking Geo. Yeah, exactly. Kelsey Mitchell literally is trying to be Geo-wise. She's trying to be Geo-wise on a WNBA floor. Like, this is the team of all really high draft picks. You've got Alyssa Smith, the worst defender I've ever seen, but you know what? I'm not going to fault Alyssa Smith on offense. You've got Christy Wallace, who finally hit some shots. She hasn't been that bad today. You've got Caitlin Clark, who has an unbelievable player, but has major flaws in her game. But every other team, any competent coach, when they have a player who is flawed but brilliant, they make sure that they put them in positions to use what they're brilliant at and hide what they're flawed. Christy Sides does the opposite. She puts Caitlin Clark into positions where her flaws can be amplified and she needs to go against the offense completely to show any sort of her brilliance. Oh my God. And then you've got Aaliyah Boston, who just isn't, look, she's just not in shape. This is a write-off season for Aaliyah Boston. And again, you have got Erica Wheeler thinking, I'm the 7th highest paid player in the league. I gotta be great when she's terrible. And then you've obviously got Kelsey Mitchell trying to get a big contract next year. So she's trying to be doing a Geo-wise impression on the court. This is the worst professional basketball team I've ever seen. They are garbage.